Welcome back to the Viking Update Show. We're moving a lot of our shows when we can to YouTube. Check out the John Krawczynski Show on the Timberwolves and the Game 1 at Oklahoma City. This, of course, is our Viking show at the network, but it's only one of 3 Vikings shows at TalkNorth.com. We've added Alec Lewis's show. That's John's colleague who covers the Vikings as a beat writer. He's doing multiple shows, a lot of weeks, just cranking out the content for us. We also have the former Vikings general manager, Jeff Diamond, on Jeff Diamond's Vikings NFL Insider. This is Viking Update. This is 2 longtime Minnesota writers who have been covering the team and watching the team for many decades. John grew up watching the Vikings. I came here to cover the Vikings in 1990. And guess what? It's another interesting week in Viking land. We're going to talk about the Wilfs. We're going to talk about the PFF rankings of J.J. McCarthy. We're going to talk about the Vikings voting to get rid of the Tush Push, which I admire. And we'll talk a little bit about Caleb Williams wanting to be a Viking, not wanting to be a Bear. The Viking Update Show is presented to you by Giggly THC Beverages and Onyx Hunt, and we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio.
Ah, that first sip of coffee. Is there anything better? Yup. Coffee made with amazing water from Aquarius, your authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Enjoy worry-free water throughout your home for less than buying that daily cup of joe. Imagine spotless dishes, softer laundry, and drinking water you can trust. Plus, up to 25% off a new Connecticut system. Schedule your free water analysis at AquariusHomeservices.com. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended.
Hey, Rosie here for Lexus of Wayzata and Lexus of Maplewood. If you're in the market for a new luxury vehicle, look no further than my good friend Charlie Swanson at Lexus. Whether you're on the west or the east side of the Twin Cities, they have got you covered with 2 great locations, Lexus of Wayzata and Lexus of Maplewood. Check out the all-new Lexus TX, a spacious SUV with 3 rows of seating and plenty of room for all your gear. Head over to LexusofWayzata.com or LexusofMaplewood.com for details and to find your next ride today.
All right, so let's start with the Wilfs. They've been in charge now. They've been approved, 20 years since they've been approved. I think you and I are generally in favor of the way they've run the organization. We could say that they had some stumbles early on, but that's kind of old news, and we've been through all that. The important thing is it's the biggest, most important sporting entity in Minnesota, and the Wilfs are pretty well established. They know how to run the organization.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a great 20 years. I know they haven't won a Super Bowl yet. I know they haven't been there yet. But when you look at the totality of their leadership and how they've gone about things and what they've done for the franchise and how competitive the Vikings are on a year in and year out basis, I just think it's been a rousing success. It really is, I think, indicative, Jim, of sort of this thing that we have to be cognizant about in terms of ownership, transfers, ownership, experiences in terms of the Wolves are changing owners. Maybe the Twins will change owners eventually. What you hear time and again, and what the Wilfs showed us as well, is that every new ownership group is going to have stumbles early on. They're going to have mistakes that they make. They're going to have sort of things that you look at and you say, what is going on? Why are they doing it this way? But it's such a different thing to do, a different role to have, as owning a franchise, a professional sports franchise, and the scrutiny that's on it and the decisions you have to make. And there were times early on when the Wolves first arrived and when, kind of they're going through the Mike Tice firing and a few other things that you say, okay, what's going on with this group? Do they really know what they're doing? But as they got their legs underneath them, as they figured things out, they have really become model owners. They are not out front. They support the team financially. They let the people who they hire do their jobs, and they are very kind of patient and pragmatic, which I think over the long haul, when you're owning a franchise, that is the best way to be. And so they've been if you're grading their ownership, it's been an A. Like, they've new stadium, new practice facility, The hirings that they've made have generally been good. The players really like playing for this organization, and just up and down the way they've conducted themselves in the community and all that. It's been really, really good for a very long time.
Yeah, and they've become very big in the community. I appreciate the fact they gave Minnesota Aurora a place to play. They do things like that for high school sports. They've done a lot of things right. And, it's funny because as a young, aggressive beat writer, I always wanted access. I thought access was everything. And I was always offended when owners didn't talk, or if a general manager didn't talk very often. As I don't know, I can't say I've matured, but as I've gotten old, which is a very different thing, I actually have come to appreciate the Wilfs not always trying to be out there, not always trying to put their, brand and their spin on things. They have people who can do that for them. Obviously Mark Wilf has become the primary spokesman, but he's not out there trying to sell you something every 5 minutes. I kind of like the silent ownership model.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this, Jim. I do think that if your owners are going to be that way, the organization has to be accessible in other ways, whether it's the general manager, head coach, CEOs, things of that nature, to speak for the organization, because it is a public entity. The Wilfs got a lot of money for the stadium. They, a lot of public money for the stadium and things like that. But I do think that Mark Wilf has done a good job, over the last decade or so, I would say, of being a little bit more out there, being available. It's usually a couple of times a season he speaks to the media. So he's not just shrouded in secrecy. He's not, just like, sitting behind the scenes and pulling levers and doing all those things without any explanation, because I do think fans deserve that kind of explanations, that kind of transparency from the organizations. But I think also that he's done it in a way where he still is quiet. He's not a bombastic owner. He's not Jerry Jones. He's not out there making bold proclamations or doing those things. But he and Ziggy have established, I think, a culture that makes it, it makes it fairly easy to at least understand all of the logic behind decisions that are made, who is running what, all of those things. And so, they walk a line that they're not completely off the radar, but they're also not over the board and out there. They just exude steadiness. They don't panic. They don't kind of message in a way that seems chaotic. Even in the tougher times, even in the Zimmer Spielman times and things like that, it's just, it's never as bad as it could be with owners who don't know how to handle those situations and do a poor job with it publicly. So, I think they've taken good steps in that way to be at least a little bit more available. And, they may not always say a whole lot, or they may not, grab a bunch of headlines, but you see them out there, and that's an important part of this.
And I think, going really big picture here, the fact that they keep ranking top 2 in the NFL in player surveys, the fact that players are taken care of. Because I covered the league many years when players were just, whatever cliche, whatever metaphor you want to use, they were just meat. They were just ship them in, ship them out, try not to get sued but for too much, have really good lawyers for all the lawsuits that are going to get filed against you for mistreating your players. And the fact that they run a building where the players feel comfortable and safe and treated well, that is as good a compliment as you can pay to any owner.
Yeah. And let's all, in kind of implied in that, or, just really important to acknowledge in that, is when you do treat your employees, your players, the people who work for you, all of those things very well, and they want to come to work, it usually provides results. Like, you look at let's look at kind of the owners who are really well respected. Robert Kraft, the Rooney family, those types of people, like, they generally, their franchises are very successful. Dan Snyder's of the world, even the Bears owners, a lot of those other ownership groups that you'd point to and say they don't do it the right way, just in terms of those relations and those resources that are provided. Those are typically the ones that are at the bottom of the standings every year. And so while the Vikings have not graduated to Super Bowl winners or contenders, they are consistently good. And I do think that there are more often than not, they are more likely to exceed their expectations, be it, with respect to the talent they have on the roster than to underperform. And I think that the environment in Egan, what the Wilfs have built that way, and how people enjoy being there and feel supported and feel invested in, I think that goes a long way toward their just consistent levels of success. I mean, the lack of 2 and 15 seasons or 4 and 13 seasons and things like that on their resume, I think speaks a lot to just how they get people to buy in and really kind of just really kind of want to be here and want to perform for owners they respect.
Up next, I'm going to say Tush Push, and I hope it's the last time I ever have to say Tush Push. We'll get into what's going on with the Eagles, the fact the Vikings voted against that play. We'll get to the other things here in a second. I want to remind you that Giggly THC beverages are really good. I drink them all the time. Giggly.com, Gigli.com. Use the promo code Giggly North to get 50% off your first order. Then keep on ordering. And if you go to the website or if you get on their email list, they'll send you coupons and discounts and everything else. It's just really good. It tastes great. They have cocktails, seltzers, teas. I like the cocktails. My wife likes the tea. We both like the seltzers. And it's just really nice on a weeknight when you don't think it's the right time to have a drink. You can have a Giggly and you're going to feel good. You're going to sleep good. You'll wake up feeling fresh. You'll wake up without any grogginess. Definitely without any chance of a hangover. It's a good way to live. Giggly.com. Giggly North is the promo code for 50% off. Also, want to ask you, have you ever driven past a piece of land and wondered who owns that? Or maybe you need to know exactly where a property line runs. That's where Onyx Hunt comes in. And it's not just for hunters. There are folks using Onyx for their jobs every day throughout the country, from farmers and ranchers mapping out their fields, wildland firefighters navigating rough terrain, to construction workers needing to know who owns what property. This app offers something for everyone. You need the best land ownership maps, aerial imagery, and property boundaries in your pocket. Onyx Hunt is the tool for the job. Try it free for 7 days. Download Onyx Hunt in the app or Google Play Store, or visit onyxmaps.com/hunt to get started. All right. The Tush Push, the Vikings voted to get rid of the Tush Push. I am in favor of getting rid of the Tush Push. Does it happen? And how? I'm fairly passionate about this. I think it's a non-football play. I think it's a rugby play. I think it's ugly. I think it takes strategy and cleverness out of the game. But I can't remember what you think about all this.
Yeah, I don't like the play, Jim, because I mean, look, you can say that the Eagles have perfected it, and so you just say, well, just stop it. Like that's, that should be on you to stop it. And they certainly run it much more effectively than some other teams that have tried it, and there are many teams that haven't tried it yet because of the technique that it takes, or the personnel that are required. But I just don't see why it's not easy to say, you should not be able to just push a player forward and benefit from
the
that.
Actual seems to be you could not propel a teammate forward.
Yeah, like it just that makes no sense to me as to why it is a legal play. Like what they see in that regard, because it is literally just two dudes line up behind Jalen Hurts and just plowing into him and pushing him forward. And so, any sort of trying to complicate this by saying, well, no, like this is all fine. These are just big guys that are enforcing their will and imposing their will on a teammate. And it's actually the ultimate football play because it's man against man. It's not man against man. It's like 5 dudes against 2 guys. And so it should be very easy to say an offensive player cannot be aided by a teammate forward the way that happens. And I guess I don't understand why that is some sort of hot button issue. It just doesn't seem I guess I can't see the argument for it is my problem with it. I have a hard time seeing people say, well, yeah, no, that's great. Like, let's keep doing that. That seems like a really good thing to do.
It's horrible. And, when the NFL started, when professional football became a thing, one of the things they tried to do was differentiate themselves from rugby. They didn't want it to look like rugby. They wanted it to be more strategic. They wanted it to be more serialized. So there was a play every 20, 30, 40 seconds instead of just guys running around. And listen, even if you love rugby, why would you want to watch another version of rugby? Football is supposed to be different. And the rule was always on the books that you couldn't push a teammate forward. And now it's just fine. And listen, if Jalen Hurts, without somebody pushing him in the back, can quarterback sneak with 100% efficiency and pick up every first down, that's fine. That's a legal play. And that would speak to his skill. It would speak to their ability to block it well. But guess what? Without the tush push, he would not succeed 100% of the time. He'd probably succeed about 40% of the time, and they probably would have to actually run a play once in a while. And you know what? Would you rather, as a fan, watch two guys pile into the back of a quarterback and hope that you can push the pile forward an inch or 6 inches or 12 inches, whatever? Or would you rather watch the Philadelphia Eagles, with an incredible offensive arsenal, have to make a play to get the first down? Even if it's just pitching the ball to Saquon Barkley. What better sight is there in the NFL these days than watching to see what Saquon Barkley can do in the open field? That would be much better football.
It would be. And, like, the other part about this that maybe is unfair to the Eagles, but if there's something that is a 100% certainty of happening, it's probably illegal. Like, either way, like on the defense or the offense, it's like, they have taken away things that the defense is able to do because of how effective it is at stopping offense. And this play the Eagles have is, I don't remember ever seeing that not work. And I'm sure there has been, because I don't watch the Eagles every week. I'm sure there's been one time or two where it's been stopped, but maybe I'm wrong. But like, I feel like it is a 100% chance of working. And if that is the case, like, what are we doing? The extra point was determined to be too easy. And that wasn't 100% conversion rate. And you still moved it back. And you're like, this is boring. This isn't working. Let's do something to make this a little more difficult. And yet they are allowing this to happen on a play to keep the chains moving. That is clearly so effective that something must be illegal. Like, that's just the way that my mind works on the logic part of it.
Agreed. Let's get to Pro Football Focus's ranking of J.J. McCarthy. I'm sure some Viking fans are offended. I'm not offended. I just think, and I think they probably, my guess is they're underestimating McCarthy, but I also understand why. So let's get into that here in a second. First, here's Talk North star Michael Russo for Clamshell Beach Resorts.
Hey, have you been dreaming of a lake cabin lifestyle with boating, fishing, and family fun in northern Minnesota? Well, lately I've thought a lot about how cool it would be to have a getaway like so many Minnesotans. And if you're like me, you probably think that owning your own lakeside getaway is beyond your budget. Well, if you think lake cabin real estate prices keep going up, well, think again. This is Russo, and I'm here to tell you there is an affordable way to enjoy a cabin lifestyle and all that goes with it. And yes, I said affordable. I founded a Clamshell Beach Resort, which is located on the Whitefish chain of 14 lakes for you and your family to enjoy. Here's how. Clamshell has lake homes that offer deeded fractional ownership, and the keywords there are deeded and fractional. You own it. Imagine having 5 weeks a year to enjoy Clamshell with its beaches, pool, and lodge that's full of kids' activities. Is golf your game? There's a great golf course right across the road. Like winter sports? Well, you can go ice fishing, cross-country skiing, or snowmobiling right out the door at Clamshell. And there's no maintenance, no grass mowing, no snow removal. It's done all for you. And you can own a share of Clamshell Beach Resort at an affordable price. To learn more about ownership opportunities at Clamshell Beach Resort, go to cottagesonwhitefish.com or contact Pat Egan at 612-220-9819. That's cottagesonwhitefish.com or Pat Egan at 612-220-9819.
And listen, I'm busted. I admit it. If you've seen me at a Wolves game or a Twins game or at dinner or walking around town the last couple of weeks, everything I'm wearing is from Twill. Twill in the Dining Galleria, twillmn.com. This is like the first time I haven't, and it's because I have a day off from the strip. I'm just doing podcasts and doing some reading, and you caught me in my ratty old sweatshirt that I wouldn't wear outside. So you did it. You caught me not wearing Twill. You won't catch me outside the building not wearing Twill because it's the best stuff I've ever worn. I love it. It's incredibly comfortable. I love the Brax pants. I love the Dingman shoes. I love the Johnny O and the Peter Millar. But that's just a fraction of the products that Scott Dayton brings into a shop. He scouts it all himself. He goes overseas to find the best brands. He only has stuff in the store that he would wear. Highly recommend going to Twill in the Dining Galleria, checking it out. The staff is very laid back. They love talking sports. They're really nice people. Tell them we sent you. Go to twillmn.com to see what he has in stock, and also go to twillmn.com to sign up for his email notifications. You'll only get an email like once every couple of months. He'll only email you if he has a sale or an event that he wants you to know about, and it doesn't happen very often. And when it does, it's pretty special. So check out twillmn.com. Also, I'm trying to swing a weighted golf club. I'm trying to become a better golfer this year. It's probably not going to work out, but I do have the sore muscles and joints to show for it. And what I use on my sore muscles and joints is products from Natrium, natrium.com. You can also use drinks, balms, candies, gummies. They have all kinds of stuff there. Go to the St. Louis Park store, Natrium, and check out everything they have in store. Then once you realize what you like, what you pick out the products that work for you go to natrium.com and order online. What I'm using right now is the balms. I have a sore muscle. I have a sore elbow. I rub the balm on, usually get relief in 15 minutes. It goes on. It's not greasy. It doesn't smell. It's just the easiest way, and it works a lot better than taking an over-the-counter pill. So I highly recommend everything at Natrium. Right now, the balms are really doing it for me. Thanks to Natrium. Thanks to all of our sponsors for making these shows possible. We do appreciate it. So Pro Football Focus ranked McCarthy in fourth out of the 6 tiers of quarterbacks, ranked him behind Bo Nix and Bryce Young. And my gut, and that's really all I have to go on at this point, is that McCarthy's going to be much better than that. But I do understand ranking him behind Bo Nix because Bo Nix did it last year, and Bo Nix also was playing for a great quarterback coach. Bryce Young, I don't think, if McCarthy ends up on the same plane as Bryce Young a year from now, I think we're all going to be very disappointed.
Yeah, look, I mean, I guess I don't know what Vikings fans would expect because McCarthy hasn't played.
Right.
He's coming off of an injury. He's going to have to prove it first. And I'm okay with that. Like, I don't like, let's say that McCarthy comes out this year and lights the league on fire and is just an unbelievable player and quarterback. I don't think the move at the end of the season would be, oh man, PFF, what idiots for putting him down there because, because we haven't seen it yet. And I've said this and people know this who listen to the show, I'm a huge McCarthy guy. I think he's going to be really, really good over the long haul. It may take a little bit of time for him to settle in, but he's going to be a good player for a long time. That's what I think. But I can't get mad at a low ranking when he does have that injury, when there was a flirtation with Aaron Rodgers, when there's all sorts of other things going on that would just say, hey, let's just let this kid go out there and earn it. Bryce Young had a solid year last year after a disastrous year the first year. Bo Nix did some really good things with the Broncos. And so let it go. I mean, my bone, and also I'm not a PFF guy because I don't know if you saw, Jim, they just recently released their top 25 or their best offensive players at each position for the last 25 years. And their receivers were Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, and Tyreek Hill. There was no Randy Moss. There was no Terrell Owens. There was no Calvin Johnson. Derrick Henry was the running back, maybe, but no Adrian Peterson, no LaDainian Tomlinson. So that's the bone I have to pick with PFF. Like how can you possibly have a football team where you're talking about the top players from the last 25 years and Randy Moss is not on it? I just can't see it. In this case, I'm going to give them a little grace where I'm just like, I want to see JJ McCarthy. I want to see him out there do it and play and make it happen before we anoint him, even though I just think he's going to be great here.
If you want to stay in Minnesota, John, if you really want to be a true Minnesotan, you need to learn to be offended by these things.
Yeah, I guess so. Like that. See, but did you see how I sort of
found a way to be offended?
Hopped out there.
You did. I'm caping, which I'm
caping for Randy Moss.
Yes.
I'm caping for Randy Moss. So you don't get mad at me, Vikings fans, for not like being all the way just in the propaganda fields for JJ McCarthy. So I'm coming to your defense with Randy and even Adrian. But yeah, so hopefully I won't get protests outside my house because I wasn't real willing to go all the way in on JJ McCarthy just yet.
And somewhere Chris Carter is watching this and he's very offended that we did not mention him in the same breath as Randy.
Yes, sure. Yeah. I mean, he absolutely belongs. I wondered if you're talking about last 25
right.
years, that may, you're getting towards the end of Chris Carter.
Yeah. He did most of his work in the 90s.
Yeah. You're getting towards the end. So you could
be
say
offended, he can still be offended.
He will be offended. I can tell you that. Yes, he absolutely will be.
Last topic for today. Thanks to our sponsors. Thanks to everyone who listens. Best way to listen to this show and all of our shows at talkdorg.com. Please subscribe to your favorite podcast app. Check out Mark Rosen's new show, which is a blast. I'm occasionally a guest on there. We have Randy Shaver's high school football show coming back. We're going to have a fantasy football show. We have that in the works. We have Dawn Mitchell's show. All this stuff. We have the best lineup in town. Caleb Williams, according to a new book written by a very reputable author, very talented author, sounds like Caleb did not want to play for the Bears and would have preferred to play for the Vikings.
That just tells me he's a smart guy.
Exactly. That's just good taste.
Yeah, when you look at what the Bears have done with their quarterbacks for years and years, when you look at they had Matt Eberflus as a head coach, as a defensive-minded head coach, why would you want to go to Chicago and play? And given Kevin O'Connell's reputation, given the work that he's done with lesser quarterbacks, I would think that if I'm Caleb Williams, if I'm a number one overall type of talent, if I'm looking for the best possible scenario for me to thrive in the NFL, the Vikings are one of like a couple places, Kansas City, a couple others that you'd say, absolutely, let me go there, versus an organization that quite literally hasn't had a consistently good quarterback for like 50 years. So you watch Caleb last year and it was a little up and down, and you wonder about the decision making and some of those things, but this tells me that he has a good head on his shoulders, that he sees things clearly, and that he understands the league. And so if I were a Bears fan, I'd actually feel pretty good about that, hey, my quarterback knows what he's talking about here. And maybe he will be the one that turns it around and ends that, dubious streak of non-Pro Bowl quarterbacks for the Chicago Bears. My
unfair, premature, silly question of this May that I'll throw out there. Do you feel better about Caleb Williams' future under Ben Johnson, having had a year under his belt? Or do you feel better about JJ McCarthy not having played for a year, having had the injury, but being in O'Connell's system? Who would you guess at this moment is going to have the better career?
Yeah, boy, it's a great question, because I do think that Ben Johnson, I think, is an incredible offensive mind. And so it was necessary for the Bears to make that move and go get him. I guess, though, if I'm trying to handicap it right now, I would give a little bit of the edge to JJ and the Vikings, just because we have seen Kevin O'Connell do this with his quarterbacks, as a head coach in this league. And we know about Justin Jefferson. We know about, the offensive line. We know about a lot of the weapons around him. With Ben Johnson, unbelievable offensive coordinator, did amazing things with Goff and the Lions. We still don't know what he's going to be as a head coach. Norv Turner is maybe the greatest offensive coordinator of all time. As a head coach, he wasn't very good. So you just never know how someone is going to transition from being a coordinator to being a head coach. Some guys thrive on it, do really, really well. O'Connell, one of them. some guys just fall apart and it's just not there. So I guess I kind of want to see what it looks like with Ben Johnson and how it all goes. I'm very, very intrigued by it, but I kind of have to lean a little bit toward JJ because the track record of O'Connell is so great. And because I am a huge McCarthy guy, like I really loved him at Michigan. And I think he has so many of the tools to be a really, really good quarterback in this league. And he's surrounded by talent. He has a good environment around him from ownership and front office and all of those things. And so it's so premature. It's very unfair, but I'm just going to lean ever so slightly toward the purple here.
I agree with everything you said. I will add a different wrinkle. Style of play. I think McCarthy, he played for Harbaugh, one of the great quarterback coaches who ever lived. Now he's playing for O'Connell. And he's going to get an opportunity to use his running ability and his scrambling ability, but he's going to be a pocket passer who can run. He's not going to be a mad scrambler. Caleb Williams wants to be a mad scrambler. If McCarthy sees, we even saw it in the preseason last year. If McCarthy sees an open receiver, he's throwing the ball to him. He's not even thinking about it. He's just going to plant foot, let it go. It's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So often when I watch games and game film or replays or whatever to assess Caleb Williams last year, what I saw was Caleb Williams dropping back and saying, wide open receiver. Okay, nope, I want more. If I make three guys miss and if I scramble across the field to throw against my body, I can do something really spectacular here. Why take the simple open receiver when I can be a superstar? McCarthy, I think, he's very athletic, but the athletic ability will not dictate his decision-making. I think with Caleb Williams wants to be a mad scrambler, and Ben Johnson might be able to coach that out of him, but I'm not sure. So that's why I'm leaning McCarthy.
Yeah, so I totally hear what you're saying. I want to kind of redefine it a little bit. I don't know if I see Caleb as like a mad scrambler, Michael Vick style, but what I see him like, I'm an NBA guy, so I wonder if he's LaMelo Ball. Like, I wonder if I am just a highlight machine. If you put my highlights on TikTok, I look really, really good. Yep. But if you watch me play an entire game, I'm not winning games for you.
Right.
And so I think his thirst, you were right, Jim. I think that thirst for the highlight, for the crazy throw, for the side-armed, unbalanced, falling down 30 yards down the field play that is going to make you go, oh my God. I think that's in Caleb's game and in his nature. I think that JJ McCarthy has that confidence in his ability, but I also think that he was raised by Harbaugh to be a quarterback who does not lose games and wins them instead. And so I do see McCarthy probably having more discipline within the way that he plays a game that might be more conducive to winning at a high level. And at the end of the season, if you were to take both of if you were to make a compilation to put on social media of their highlight plays, Caleb Williams might be longer than McCarthy, but McCarthy will very well have more wins and just more team success. And so, I think that's absolutely fair. And I do think that, Caleb wants to make that play that's going to be on a SportsCenter top 10. And I think McCarthy has that too. I think he has that swagger and he wants it, but he understands his place in this ecosphere and what is required of him. And so I think he'll be more patient and more disciplined in his approach.
Agreed. Please check out the John Krawczynski Show. Great stuff on the Timberwolves. Great time of the year to listen to it. One of our most popular shows on the network. Remember, we have Russo, Rosen, Randy Shaver, Don Mitchell, Lavelle Neal, Royce Smalley, Michael Russo, Anthony LaPanta, the Bar Down Beauties, Kevin Gorg's show. We're going to be adding shows this fall. We appreciate you listening. Dawn Mitchell, if I didn't mention her. And we have outdoor content too. So check it all out. We appreciate you listening. We appreciate our sponsors. And we'll talk to you next week. One of these, when we have a slow week, on the Viking Update Show, we will do our entirely premature division picks, where we think the teams are going to finish up. That could be next week, but the Vikings in the NFL tend to make news whether we expect them to or not. So we'll see. Once again, thank you. We'll talk to you next week.